Welcome back to HealthWise. With us is Dr. Holly Provost, an OBGYN, and she was talking about the Leonardo, and how do you spell Leonardo? I mean, it's not like it's the Da Vinci robot, but I think the name they picked is Leonardo. But how are we spelling it?
The end is D-E-A-U-X.
Okay,
just
so
like
that's
we
the
do
Cajun
everything
flair.
else. Yes.
It's got a Cajun flair, Leonardo. Okay. We were talking about the ways we could use the robot. How exactly are you going to use the robot? And I think you said you have a procedure coming up. How are you going to use the robot in?
I offer it to anybody who needs a hysterectomy most of the time. If I can do a vaginal hysterectomy, I do that. But if there's any other indication for surgery where I'm not comfortable doing it vaginally, either because they've had previous abdominal surgery, if ovarian masses are large, if the uterus is too big, then I do it laparoscopically. And this is just an extension of what I've been doing for years. Very seldom do I do a straight abdominal hysterectomy where I make our usual incision, because I find that patients recover faster, go back to work faster with less pain and less bleeding. With the robot, what it does is it allows me to do more meticulous surgery faster and with minimal bleeding, and faster recovery and less pain than anything else. There have been some studies with the Da Vinci showing that it has much less bleeding than a vaginal hysterectomy and less pain than a vaginal hysterectomy. Some patients are going home that same day.
Wow. Wow.
If they're meeting outpatient surgery procedures, like if they're ambulating, they're urinating, and they're tolerating diet, then we know that patients sleep better and relax better and rest better in their own beds. What I do with it is that I also offer this with somebody who needs to have their ovaries removed. Instead of just doing a big incision, then I'm able to do it with the laparoscope. And by doing that, it's outpatient. They get it done and they go home.
Okay. When you say less bleeding, why does the robot cause less bleeding? What does it?
Since I'm magnified 10 times, a drop of blood looks like a gusher. And my instruments only allow me to do meticulous dissection. So if I were to do an open hysterectomy, I have a big suture, I have a big scalpel, I have big instruments. And so it makes not necessarily big blood loss, but it can be significant blood loss no matter what I do. With this, as you see peeling the grape, that was the instruments I used. They're that small. So I do less coag, I take less bites whenever I do my instruments. And so any little blood loss I see, which is really a drop, I can stop that bleeding right then before I get the bigger blood loss. So average blood loss is maybe 1/10 of what a normal vaginal hysterectomy and what a normal abdominal hysterectomy. Average, just from what I do, abdominal hysterectomy, if it's a small uterus, average blood loss is maybe 50 cc's, 100 cc's, which is much less than a Coke can. But when I do a hysterectomy using the Da Vinci, my blood loss is nothing.
Wow.
You know, it's very little. We irrigate and we check and see, but I can see where every bleeder is and stop it. Blood loss is maybe 10 cc's or less.
Wow. Now, I know you said the trocars, the sleeves.
Yeah.
Okay, those just are stationary. They don't move.
No.
So it looks like the sleeve goes in there, they sit there, and they don't move, so that causes less, that's another reason, right?
With a straight laparoscopic surgery, we put the sleeves in, put our instruments in, and since I'm on either side, I'm having to move things around to get where I need.
Right.
With the robots, the sleeves are placed in, and it pivots here instead of really moving tissue around. So yeah, there's less pain at the trocar site and less tissue damage.
Right. Also, one of the things that they told me, well, the guy that was there, he was really informative. If you have to come out, if you have to, for some reason, come out of the trocar or come out, it's like the robot has an auto return feature. So, you know.
If we have to change an instrument, they tell me I change, or I ask them to change it and I stop. They take the instrument out. It just disappears from my view. And to put it back in, it goes into the same sleeve, and then it goes back to within the previous area in less 4 millimeters. So I don't have to worry about losing sight of where that is. That isn't active, that instrument isn't active. It's not able to open and close until it's in that spot where I can see it on my screen. So there's no missing it. Plenty of times with laparoscopic surgery, you have the camera here and we're in a spot and they say, hey, I need a suction or I need something, a grasper. And then we have to back out the camera to look because the grasper's missing. You know, it's spatially, we're not quite, you can't always get to where you need to because you're looking at a 2D screen.
Right.
But with a robot, slip it out, slip it in, it's there. It's waiting for me.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, technology that has come this far.
Yeah.
But like you said, I really, it makes sense, you know, about not being someone way away. Now, maybe in the future, I guess, you know, yeah, you'll be able to be in another town or something and doing, you know, like, I guess if you had the best heart surgeon in the world and that's what you wanted, and he was able to do this you know, with the Da Vinci robot or something similar.
Maybe.
You mind? Do we know how much the robot cost? Was it?
A new one, I think, is 1.5 million.
Wow.
This one wasn't new, so it was less than that. But it's pretty significant investment.
Right.
But I think the benefits that we get from using it with my patients outweigh. So far, I've done a few cases and others where I've either done it open, where they would recover longer and they would have more pain. I think the benefits outweigh what the cost is.
Okay, so you said you've done a few. So, I mean, the robot has actually been in place for when? How long has it been?
I think they got it in January.
Okay.
I did the first case early February.
Okay, so it wasn't that long. So,
no.
So probably, how many have you done? How many surgeries?
I've done 3 so far.
3 with it? Okay, any other doctors? You know, I mean.
No, you have to go through special training. And Dr. Pienack did his training last week. Dr. Jornigan is starting his process. Dr. Batto has started his process as well as Dr. Tate. Okay. So I think we're all going to go for it. Okay. And we'll all be using it.
Okay, so far you're the only one that's finished the training.
I'm
so
the first one
got
to
be the first one. So they used you as the guinea pig.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm the one who does most of the laparoscopic hysterectomies.
Okay.
Dr. Pienack assists me, but Jornigan does some every now and then, but it's mainly me that does laparoscopic procedures. So it was a natural extension for me to go through this. It makes my life easier. It makes the cases easier because when you do straight laparoscopic procedures, we have a straight stick and the ends don't move.
Right.
I have to manipulate it to get it where I need.
Right.
So with this, it actually makes more difficult cases easier for me. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. Well, we're going to take a brief break again to pay the bills, and after that, we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about what you do.
Okay.